Now, three suspects have been indicted in the fatal shooting of a pregnant woman. They are accused in the January killing of 34-year-old Tamisha Price. Take a look. According to court documents, a grand jury indicted Paris James and Jerry Scott on several counts of aggravated murder and felonious assault, among other charges. Shawaya Triplett was also indicted on 2 third-degree felony counts of obstructing justice. All three suspects are accused of involvement in the homicide of Price, whose unborn child was also killed in the shooting.
I need help.
3 words, spoken by a 16-year-old boy whose voice shouldn't be shaking like that, whose hands shouldn't be covered in his mother's blood, whose eyes shouldn't have just witnessed the unthinkable. January 24th, 2024, Toledo, Ohio, 5 a.m. The kind of cold that cuts through bone, the kind of darkness that makes you think dawn will never come. But for Jaden Price Wilson, dawn doesn't matter anymore. Because the woman who used to wake him up for school, who used to make him breakfast, who used to tell him everything would be okay, is lying on her bedroom floor, and she's not getting up. January 24th, 2024, Toledo, Ohio, 5 a.m. The kind of cold that cuts through bone. The kind of darkness that makes you think dawn will never come. But for Jaden Price Wilson, dawn doesn't matter anymore. Because the woman who used to wake him up for school, who used to make him breakfast, who used to tell him everything would be okay, is lying on her bedroom floor, and she's not getting up. When the dispatcher asks what happened, Jaden's answer shatters the early morning silence. "My mom's been shot. Please, hurry." First responders know that when a call comes from a child, when the voice is that broken, that terrified, that desperate, time isn't just running out, it's already gone. They arrive at the Norton Place address within minutes. They rush inside with equipment, with training, with hope that maybe, just maybe, are not too late, but they are. Tamisha Jera Price, 34 years old, 8 months pregnant with the daughter she'd already named Malaysia Leani, the daughter she'd thrown a baby shower for just 1 week earlier. The daughter whose nursery was ready, whose clothes were washed, whose life was already loved into existence. Both of them, gone. Multiple gunshot wounds, blood pooling on carpet that would have to be ripped out. A crime scene that would haunt every officer who walked through it. And in the corner, wrapped in blankets that can't stop them from shaking, Jaden and his 13-year-old brother Leslie sit with the knowledge that they watched it happen. They saw the man who pulled that trigger. They heard their mother's final words. They witnessed evil walk into their home and destroy everything. This wasn't a stranger. This wasn't random. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong or a break-in turned deadly. This was the man who claimed to love her, the man who fathered the baby girl growing inside her, the man who decided that if he couldn't control her choice, he would end her life. Welcome to Crime Gone Viral. We're not here to just tell you what happened. We're here to make you feel it, to understand it, to remember that behind every crime scene tape, behind every case number, behind every headline, there's a real person whose last moments were filled with terror they didn't deserve. Every victim has a story. Every killer leaves clues, and every truth, no matter how painful, demands to be told. Today's case will take you inside the final 8 months of Tamisha Price's life. You'll meet the woman everyone called Misha, a mother who worked 3 jobs to give her sons everything, a content creator who was finally finding her voice, a woman 8 months pregnant with her first daughter who made the fatal mistake of trusting the wrong man. You'll see how love turned to control, how pregnancy became a threat, how a baby shower became a countdown to murder. Toledo, Ohio, they call it the Glass City, built on manufacturing, defined by Lake Erie's western shore, and the resilience of working-class families who've lived here for generations. It's a city of neighborhoods where everyone knows everyone, where you wave to your neighbor from the porch, where kids play basketball in driveways until streetlights come on, where people look out for each other because that's what you do. At least, that's the dream. But Toledo's streets tell a different story. Year after year, violent crime rates climb above the national average. Homicides that used to make front-page news now barely register. Aggravated assaults, armed robberies, domestic violence calls that dispatchers dread because they know what they'll find when officers arrive. These aren't just statistics. They're mothers, daughters, sons, people who woke up that morning not knowing it would be their last. The 5300 block of Norton Place doesn't look like a place where horror happens. Small houses with small yards, cars parked in driveways, basketball hoops, garden decorations. The kind of street where people save for years to afford a mortgage, where families plant roots, where kids grow up riding bikes and playing tag, near Reynolds Road and Airport Highway. Working people, paycheck to paycheck people. People making it work through grit and determination and refusing to give up on the life they're building. On January 24th, 2024, that street became something else. 4:47 a.m., that dead zone between night and morning, when the world feels suspended, when even the streetlights seem dimmer, when the only sound is wind cutting through bare trees. Inside one of those houses, Tamisha Price was likely sleeping, her body carrying the extra weight of 8 months' pregnancy, her daughter moving inside her, restless, maybe sensing something her mother couldn't possibly know. In another room, Jaden was probably dreaming. 16 years old, drummer, student, son. A kid who had school in a few hours and didn't want to wake up when his alarm went off. Down the hall, Leslie, 13, basketball player. Little brother who looked up to Jaden. A boy who still needed his mother to sign permission slips and check his homework and tell him goodnight. A normal house, a normal family, a normal night. Until the knock on the door. Imagine being woken up by that sound. Not a gentle tap, not a doorbell, a pounding that means urgency. That means aggression. That means whoever's on the other side isn't here for a friendly visit. Maybe Tamisha's heart started racing before she even opened her eyes. Maybe she knew, somewhere deep in her instincts, that something was wrong. Maybe she considered not answering. But when you're 8 months pregnant and someone's pounding on your door before dawn, you don't have many options. You can't run fast. You can't fight hard. You can only hope it's not what you fear. When the 911 call came in at approximately 5 a.m., Toledo PD dispatched multiple units. Shooting reported. Pregnant victim. Caller is a juvenile. Those 3 details told the responding officers everything they needed to know about what kind of scene they were walking into. The kind that stays with you. The kind that makes you question humanity. The kind where you go home and hug your own family a little tighter. They arrived to find a 16-year-old boy standing outside, Jaden, covered in his mother's blood, shaking so hard he could barely stand, eyes wide with shock that hadn't fully set in yet. Behind him, through the open door, they could see Leslie, younger brother, frozen, staring at nothing because looking at something meant accepting what just happened. Paramedics found Tamisha in her bedroom, multiple gunshot wounds. The medical examiner would later count each one, would document each trajectory, would note that this wasn't a single shot fired in anger. This was deliberate, repeated, meant to ensure she didn't survive. Everything they're trained to do when every second counts and the outcome is already written. But Tamisha Jaira Price was pronounced dead at the scene. 34 years old, mother of 2, soon to be 3, content creator, daughter, sister, woman who'd survived one bad relationship and was trying to build something better, dead on her bedroom floor while her sons listened from hiding. And Malaysia Leani Price, 8 months developed, fully formed, a baby girl who would have been born in less than 30 days, who had a name, who had a room ready, who had been celebrated at a shower just 1 week earlier. She never took a breath, never cried, never felt her mother's arms around her. The Lucas County Coroner's Office would issue 2 death certificates, 2 homicides, 2 lives stolen by bullets that were meant to silence one woman who refused to be controlled. As sunrise finally broke over Norton Place, neighbors emerged from their homes. They'd heard the sirens, seen the lights, and now they were seeing the coroner's van. Miss Price from down the street, the woman who waved every morning, whose boys played with their boys, who was so excited about finally having a daughter, gone. But the most devastating part of this story isn't that Tamisha died. It's what Jaden and Leslie had to see before she did, what they'll carry with them every single day for the rest of their lives. May 22nd, 1989, Toledo, Ohio. Tyler and Stacy Price welcomed their fourth child into the world, their baby girl, their only daughter after 3 sons. They named her Tamisha Jaira Price. But from the beginning, everyone who loved her called her Misha. And here's what you need to understand about Misha. If you ask her family what defined her, they won't start with January 24th. They'll start with the sound of her laugh. The way she could walk into a room and make it brighter. The fierce loyalty she had for the people she loved. Growing up as the youngest of 4 and the only girl gave Misha a unique place in her family. Her 3 older brothers, Tobias, Tyler, and Torian, they didn't just protect her, they adored her. She was their baby sister, the one they'd fight for without hesitation. But being the only girl with 3 older brothers also taught Misha something crucial. She learned to hold her own, to stand her ground, to never let anyone push her around. That strength would define her entire life. Tyler and Stacy raised their daughter in a home built on faith, education, and hard work. Misha attended Rogers High School first, then Apostolic Christian Academy, where she deepened her spiritual foundation. Her parents wanted her to understand that success came from character as much as credentials. And Misha? She wanted to help people. At Herzing University, she pursued healthcare studies, nursing, patient care, the kind of work where you hold someone's hand during their worst moments and help them find hope again. Where you're there at 3 a.m. when a patient can't sleep because they're scared. Where you witness both death and recovery, and somehow find the strength to keep showing up. Misha didn't just study healthcare. She volunteered at local clinics, hours that didn't count toward her degree or her paycheck. She did it because watching someone heal meant something to her. Because making a difference in someone's life was worth more than money. But Misha wasn't one-dimensional. She painted, she wrote. She needed those creative outlets to balance the weight of medical work, to process everything she witnessed, to remember that beauty still existed even when the world felt heavy. Stop. In her early 20s, Misha fell in love. The kind of love that makes you think you figured everything out, that makes you plan futures and dream big and believe that this is it, this is the person. And from that relationship came the 2 greatest loves of her life. Jaden Kishan, born first, the son who would discover drumming and find his voice through rhythm, whose hands on drums could say what words couldn't, whose father saw that gift and nurtured it, spending hours in music sessions that built their bond. And Leslie Michael, the younger brother, the basketball kid, the one who'd practice free throws until dark and still want 5 more minutes. Quick, determined. The kind of kid who'd grow up to make his mama proud. If you wanted to see Misha truly light up, you'd mention her boys. Jaden and Leslie weren't just her children. They were her purpose, her reason for fighting, her proof that she could survive anything. Because she would need that strength sooner than she knew. Relationships that start with butterflies don't always end with happily ever after. Misha's first relationship began to fracture. Arguments became patterns. Love turned to obligation. The home that should have felt safe started feeling like a prison. And Misha made the hardest decision a mother can make. She looked at her 2 boys and realized they deserved better than this. They deserved a home without tension, a life without walking on eggshells, a mother who chose their well-being over her own fear. So she left. Single mother, 2 sons depending on her. No backup plan, just faith and determination, and the absolute refusal to raise her children in dysfunction. The years that followed weren't easy. Misha worked long hours, multiple jobs, whatever it took to keep Jaden and Leslie fed, clothed, housed. whatever it took to make sure they never felt the absence of things they needed. Some women would have broken under that pressure, would have given up, would have settled for less because fighting was too exhausting. But Misha wasn't some women. During this rebuilding period, Misha discovered something unexpected. She'd always loved fashion, shopping, travel, things that brought color into a world that could feel gray when you're struggling. But what if those interests could become more than hobbies? What if she could turn her style into a platform, her personality into content, her journey into inspiration for other women, rebuilding their lives? So she started creating fashion hauls, travel vlogs, day-in-the-life videos that showed both the glamour and the grind. Her content wasn't polished perfection. It was real, authentic, a woman being herself, flaws and all, and inviting people to come along for the ride. And people responded. Followers grew. Comments flooded in with encouragement, with questions, with stories from other women who saw themselves in Misha's journey. She was building a community, creating something that was entirely hers. Her videos had this effortless quality, humor that wasn't forced, style that felt accessible, energy that made you want to be her friend. She'd joke about the chaos of single motherhood while showing off an outfit she put together on a budget. She'd talk about self-care while admitting she'd just eaten cereal for dinner because she was too tired to cook. That was Misha, real, relatable, rising. For a while, everything was finally coming together. Single mom turned content creator, woman who'd walked away from toxicity and built something beautiful in its place. Mother whose sons were thriving because she'd chosen their happiness over her own comfort. And that's exactly when Paris James entered her life. Because sometimes the universe gives you everything you've been fighting for, and then introduces you to the person who'll take it all away. Paris James, 35 years old, Toledo native. And if you looked beneath the surface, beneath the charm he could turn on like a switch, you'd find a history written in police reports and court records. Disturbances, confrontations, the kind of pattern that screams danger to anyone paying attention. But here's the cruel truth about dangerous men. They rarely announce themselves as dangerous. They don't wear signs that say, "I will hurt you." They smile, they charm. They say exactly what you need to hear when you're vulnerable and hoping for better. And when Misha met Paris during her period of growth and independence, he seemed different. He seemed like someone who understood struggle, who respected strength, who wouldn't try to dim her light. He was wrong. Paris told Misha he admired her resilience, praised her dedication to her sons, supported her content creation. He fit into her life smoothly, seamlessly, like he'd been designed for the role of supportive partner. For months, it worked. Misha had her family, her career, her dreams. And now she had Paris. Hope bloomed again in places that had been barren after her previous relationship ended. She didn't know that Paris was living with another woman. That Chacha triplet was his live-in girlfriend while he was building a relationship with Misha. That the man presenting himself as honest was constructing elaborate lies. Late 2023, Misha discovered she was pregnant. Imagine that moment. After 2 sons, a daughter, a baby girl she dreamed about, a chance to raise a little girl who'd never doubt her worth, a family expanding in the most beautiful way. She was already choosing names, already imagining tiny pink clothes, already planning how she'd tell Jaden and Leslie they were getting a sister. Malaysia Leani Price. She'd call her Malaysia, a strong name for a strong girl. For Misha, this pregnancy was sacred. It represented the deepening of her bond with Paris, a family they'd build together. A future that looked nothing like her past. When she told Paris, she was probably nervous, excited. Maybe she'd planned exactly how to share the news. Maybe she'd imagined his reaction, hoped for joy that would match hers. What she got instead shattered everything. Paris didn't want the baby. Not wasn't ready. Not needs time to process. Didn't want. Active rejection. Immediate opposition. Complete refusal to accept that this child existed. But it went darker than simple rejection. Paris looked at the woman carrying his child and called her a liar, accused her of infidelity, insisted the baby couldn't possibly be his. Imagine being Misha in that moment, pregnant, vulnerable, excited about this baby. And the man you trusted is calling you unfaithful when you've given him nothing but honesty. The accusations cut deeper than any physical wound. This was emotional violence at its most cruel, taking a moment that should have been joyful and twisting it into shame, doubt, fear. And then Paris demanded something that crossed every line. He told her to get an abortion, to terminate her pregnancy, to end Malaysia's life before it fully began. And when Misha said no, that's when everything started spiraling toward January 24th. 4:47 a.m. Norton Place is silent. Most homes are dark. Inside Tamisha's house, everyone's asleep. Tamisha is 8 months pregnant. Her body is exhausted from carrying Malaysia. Sleep is difficult at this stage. She probably woke up several times during the night. Maybe she was finally in deep sleep when the knocking started. In his room, Jaden is dreaming. 16 years old, drummer, student, son. He has no idea that in minutes, he'll be making a 911 call that will destroy his childhood forever. Down the hall, Leslie is also sleeping. 13, basketball player, little brother, a boy who still needs his mother for everything. The knocking wakes Tamisha first. It's not a gentle tap. It's aggressive, demanding. The kind of knock that means trouble. Her heart probably starts racing before she's even fully awake. She's a single mother. It's not even 5 a.m. Someone's pounding on her door hard enough to wake the neighborhood. Maybe she peeks through the window first. Maybe she recognizes Paris's silhouette. Maybe some instinct screams at her not to open the door. But when you're 8 months pregnant, you can't run. You can't fight. Your options are limited. And if you don't answer, they might break the door down anyway. So Tamisha opens the door. Paris and Jerry push inside. The argument starts immediately. Yelling, accusations. Paris is furious about the baby, about the shower, about Tamisha's refusal to do what he demanded. Jerry stands nearby, armed, making sure nobody can interfere, making sure Tamisha understands she's trapped. The boys hear the commotion. Jaden emerges from his room first, sees his mother, sees Paris, sees Jerry, sees the guns. Leslie comes out too, both boys frozen, not understanding what's happening, but knowing it's bad, knowing their mother is in danger. Tamisha tries to reason with Paris. Her voice is probably shaking. She's trying to de-escalate, trying to protect her boys, trying to protect her unborn daughter, trying to survive. But Paris didn't come to talk. He came to dominate, to punish, to ensure Tamisha understood the price of defying him. The first shot echoes through the house like thunder in a quiet sky. Then another, then another. Paris fires multiple times, not once in the heat of anger. Not a single shot that he immediately regrets. Multiple, deliberate shots designed to end her life. Jaden and Leslie run. They hide, because what else can two boys do when armed men are executing their mother? They can't stop it. They can't save her. They can only survive it. The medical examiner would later document multiple gunshot wounds. Each bullet a deliberate choice. Each trigger pull a decision to end not one life, but two. Paris doesn't check if she's alive, doesn't call for help, doesn't show a single second of remorse. He and Jerry flee, leaving Tamisha bleeding out on her bedroom floor, leaving Malaysia dying inside her mother's body, leaving two traumatized boys hiding in corners, covered in their mother's blood, about to discover a horror no child should ever witness. 4:53 a.m. 6 minutes since the knocking started. Silence settles over the house like a shroud. The boys, terrified, slowly emerge from hiding. Jaden first, then Leslie. Moving through their home like it's unfamiliar territory, because it is now. Murder changes a space forever. They find their mother in her bedroom, on the floor, not moving, not breathing. Blood spreading across carpet. The woman who brought them into the world, lying dead while they watch. Jaden grabs his phone. His hands are shaking so badly he can barely hold it, can barely dial, can barely speak when the dispatcher answers. But he manages 3 words that will haunt him forever. My mom's been shot. First responders arrive in minutes that feel like hours. They come with equipment, training, hope. They rush inside expecting to save a life. But Tamisha is already gone. They try anyway. CPR, emergency procedures, everything they're trained to do. But some battles are lost before they even begin. Tamisha Price, pronounced dead at 5:17 a.m., 34 years old, 8 months pregnant. Malaysia Leani Price never took a breath, never cried, never felt anything except her mother's love, and then nothing. 2 death certificates, 2 homicides, 1 trigger finger, 1 man who decided that his desire for control mattered more than 2 human lives. And in the corner, Jaden and Leslie sit under blankets that can't stop the shaking. They watch their mother die. They can't unsee it. They can't unhear it. They can't unknow that evil walked into their home and destroyed everything they loved. This is what domestic violence looks like when it escalates to its worst extreme. This is what happens when men view women's choices as threats. This is the price Tamisha paid for refusing to let Paris control her body, her baby, her life.
A Lucas County grand jury convicted 2 men in the shooting and killing of a pregnant woman. According to the Lucas County Prosecutor's Office, these men, Paris James and Jerry Scott, they were each convicted on 13 counts each of charges including aggravated murder, aggravated burglary, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. 34-year-old Tamisha Price and her unborn child died in January of last year. Both men will be sentenced later this month.
Toledo Police Department didn't have to search far for suspects. The boys had seen everything. They gave statements that broke the investigators' hearts while building the case. Paris James, Jerry Scott, both arrested within hours, both charged with double homicide. And when police interviewed Paris, he admitted being at Tamisha's home. His exact words, according to court records, he was disputing his potential paternity. As if disputing paternity justified murder. As if questioning fatherhood explained executing a pregnant woman and her unborn child. 5 counts of aggravated murder, 4 counts of murder, aggravated burglary, felonious assault, tampering with evidence. The charges stacked up like a monument to their cruelty. Shatia Triplet was charged with obstructing justice. Her alibi for Paris fell apart under investigation. Another lie in a web of deception.
No pictures.
February 3rd, 2024. House of Day Funeral Home in Toledo, Ohio. Instead of preparing for Malaysia's birth, Tamisha's family was burying both mother and daughter. People traveled from multiple cities, filled the funeral home, overflowed into the parking lot. Everyone who knew Misha wanted to pay respects to a woman taken too soon, too violently, too unjustly. Tyler Price stood at the podium, Tamisha's father, a man burying his youngest child and unborn grandchild. He spoke through tears about his daughter's heart, her strength, her love for her boys. Matthew P. set up a GoFundMe. The description captured everything. We have set up this account to help with immediate and future expenses as her children adjust to life without her. There is a long road ahead for them. A long road indeed. A lifetime without their mother because one man couldn't handle being told no.
I really ain't got to post nothing from the neck down. And that's a flex, let me tell you.
Just remember that you're the prize always.
Say that one more time.
Just remember that you are the prize.
Yes.
Okay, ladies, post a fine ass video of you and let people comment what city it looks like you're from.
Now what happened? Crazy. So much been going on. Girl, I ran him over, and him and
Ran him over with a car.
What?
Yep. Am I wrong though? Like, should I? Am I wrong?
I mean, he shouldn't have been in front of the car.
Right. That's what I exactly.
That's what I walking in front of a car.
Right. I also slashed his tires and his mama's tires too. I did that. I did all of that.
What?
Egged his house.
His mama cut. No.
Should I apologize?
Apologize for what? For what?
Right. Because I was just thinking.
He needs to be apologizing for you.
True. Right.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking too.
No, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
Let's talk about what this case really means. Tamisha Price wasn't just a victim. She was a daughter who brought light to her parents' lives, a sister cherished by 3 protective brothers, a mother who sacrificed everything for Jaden and Leslie, a content creator finding her voice, a woman 8 months pregnant with the daughter she'd already named and loved. She had dreams, plans, a future, all stolen by a man who viewed her pregnancy as a threat to his control. Malaysia Leani Price never got to breathe, never got to meet her big brothers, never got to feel her mother's arms. But her name matters. Her life, however brief, matters. A woman's choice is sacred. Tamisha chose to have her baby. That choice cost her life. No man has the right to control a woman's reproductive decisions through violence or coercion. To our Crime Gone Viral family, if this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it, talk about it. Use it to start conversations about domestic violence, about reproductive coercion, about the warning signs that could save a life. Hit that like button if you believe Tamisha's story deserves to be remembered. Subscribe if you want us to continue telling these stories with the respect and depth they deserve. Turn on notifications because we're posting every week, diving deep into cases that matter. Comment below. Tell us about domestic violence resources in your community. Share warning signs people should know. Tell us, is this case affected you? Because every voice in the comments is another person who understands that behind every crime scene tape, there's a real human being who deserved better. Rest in peace, Malaysia Leani Price. Her life mattered, even though she never got to live it. Your names will be remembered, your story has been told, and justice will come. This is Crime Gone Viral, where we don't just report crime, we demand justice, we honor victims, we never forget.